Today, we're diving into something that completely changed how I approached healing. This idea that you don't actually have to process everything at once. I know, revolutionary, right? Mhm. We're talking about your emotional container and why learning to adjust it might be the missing piece in your healing journey. Whether you're a creative who's been procrastinating on that vulnerable project, a parent trying not to lose it on your kids, or someone who looks like they have it all together but is secretly struggling, this conversation is for you. We're going to explore what your emotional container is, how to recognize it when it needs adjusting, and practical ways to work with it instead of against it. Welcome to Adjusting. Welcome to Adjusting, a safe space for candid conversations about mental health and well being with your host, Justin G. Nelson. Whether you're recovering from trauma, redefining your purpose, managing mental health, or simply craving more authenticity, this show is for you. I hope something resonates with you and helps you on your own personal journey. So sit back, relax, and let's start adjusting. And we're back with another episode of Adjusting Podcast with your host, Justin G. Nelson. Y'all, we are on episode 11 of season 2. And I'm not stopping anytime soon. Like, I really want to get some guests on here. I was having some, not technical difficulties, but like platform difficulties, and it's new to me, so I have to really learn it and get some more equipment and stuff. So as soon as that is all set up and taken care of, we will have some guests on here in person or virtually. So if you do want to be a guest, you can use the link in the description to send me an email and let me know what you are adjusting in your life and what you want to talk about on the platform. So, with that being said, a few housekeeping things. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, download, and all those things. Also, be sure to wish TJ happy birthday. His birthday was Saturday. So, shout out to TJ. Happy birthday. And make sure you follow him and his podcast, Tea with TJ Podcast. If you would like to connect with me on my other platforms, you can do so by following my vegan lifestyle brand, Earthy and Cultured, my branding and marketing company, Type J Marketing, or me as a creative at Justin G. Nelson. Great. Now, two more things before we get into this episode. This is one of my favorite episodes because it was something that my therapist and I revisit often, and I really want to introduce this concept to you all on today. But before we get to that, we have to talk about two more things. So, number one, be sure to subscribe to my Substack channel. And people are saying, like, what's Substack? Justin, this is a lot. It is, but it's not. Substack is a new upcoming like newsletter blog platform. And while I do have a website for adjusting, I still want to reach people who don't know about the website. So by creating outlines and articles more in depth from the episode, I post those on Substack so that people can get more information that they can take away. So I've just been picking and choosing random episodes from season 1 and season 2 just to post there. So I have 2 articles up now. And then the second thing, I am proud to announce that I have launched Adjusting Affirmations. So these will be 10-minute affirmations, around 30 affirmations a video that comes out once a month with certain themes. So the first one was adjusting affirmations for creatives. So these are affirmations that I encourage people to listen to in the morning or at night just to help them ground themselves with what they are trying to accomplish that day and just to help re-regulate their nervous system. Those are some beautiful affirmations, and it took me a long time to make the video. So please give it a listen. It's only on YouTube because it has visuals and very calming music. So if you need that, head over to YouTube and find the Adjusting Affirmations video. I also will link it below. Now, something we all can do is our breathing exercises. So if you're driving, please focus on the road. Focus on the road. Okay. If not, if you are home or somewhere where you are able to just give yourself a second to ground yourself, I encourage you to do so by taking a no, wait. I need you to ground your feet first. relax your knees, your thighs. Really relax your hips, your stomach, your chest. Relax your neck. Relax your shoulders. Relax your head, your eyebrows. Kind of massage your cheeks. And take a deep breath in. 2, 3. And out. 2, 3. One more time. Deep breath in. 2, 3. And out. 2, 3. Great. All right, good. So today's episode is something, like I said, my therapist and I talk about often, and it is adjusting your container. And you're probably like, Justin, what we talked about the garden, we talked about a plate, now we're talking about container. Like, I thought this was mental health. It is. And it is a beautiful illustration of how what you carry, often you need to place it somewhere so that you know how to deal with it. Oftentimes we have trauma, or we have triggers, or we have insecurities, or we have shame, and all those things we carry and make it our personality or make it our identity. When in actuality, we can place it in a container, put a seal on it, and figure out how we want to deal with it day by day with the concept of nibble and gorge. I will talk about that later in the episode, but I just wanted to throw all that out there so that you know what the end is going to look like. Okay, so part one, addressing the container. So, what exactly is an emotional container? Okay, so think of this as a physical container. It has walls, it has depths, you have the capability of putting a lid on it. It will overflow. Okay, so if you're thinking of one of those black and yellow tubs from Home Depot, they have a little mini size now. They're really cute. Those would be a great emotional container. Okay, so your emotional container is basically your current ability to hold and process difficult feelings without becoming completely overwhelmed. Use your container. A lot of people don't acknowledge the container. They just want to carry it on their shoulders. They want to carry on their back. They want to carry the weight of the world. No, you're not Jesus, baby. I know we want to be Christ-like, but that's not your job right now. Here's the thing, it's not a fixed container. It can be strengthened, it can be expanded, and sometimes you have to put some temporary boundaries within that container. Everyone's container looks different based on their experiences. Everyone's container looks different based on where they are in their healing journey, if they have started their healing journey, if they're in the process of, you know how we say, like, I'm repotting a plant because it's grown, the roots have expanded. Sometimes your emotional container needs to be expanded to hold more things, and it's not always bad emotions. Okay, sometimes you are overflowing with joy and overflowing with grace, but you need to put that somewhere. Sometimes that overflow is for other people around you who are close enough to your container, but for now we're talking about you and your emotional container. Let's talk about recognizing what's actually in your container. First thing up, your body usually tells you if your emotional container is at capacity. Okay. So there will be signs of stress. You will feel fatigue. You will have some nausea here and there. There will be a numbing feeling when it comes to the emotional aspect of the body. You're feeling overwhelmed, again, burnt out. You find yourself reacting to everything, big and small. And then you have behavioral reactions to your emotional container. Are you avoiding things, falling into old patterns? You've been on this great healing journey, but something in your emotional container is a little toxic, okay? It's a little tainted, and it puts you back in a place of comfort and settling when you've been really doing the work to really outgrow that space. So here's the question. What's taking up space in your container right now? Is it the good, or have you allowed imposter syndrome to come in and infiltrate that container? Have you allowed some unresolved wounds or unresolved conversations, because I talked about that in a recent episode, how sometimes it's just having a conversation that can really ease and kind of empty out that emotional container. You are walking around with coulda shoulda wouldas, wondering, did I hurt their feelings? Like, why aren't they talking to me? When in actuality, they are wanting the same thing. Or they have gone on about their merry little lives, not even concerned about you because they didn't think anything was wrong. But because of your unresolved emotional triggers and traits and characteristics, you are of the mindset that everything comes with a negative response. Like, they're not talking to me because I did something, or they're not talking to me because no, baby. People have their own emotional containers. Some people carry it well. Some people have emptied it out to the point where they have the capacity to deal with what you're dealing with. So this is why we're having this conversation. Okay. What is taking up space in your container right now? Now, this shows up differently for a lot of us. If you are creative, maybe this is procrastination for a creative project that you have been putting off. Maybe this is imposter syndrome popping up and telling you, you're doing too much right now. This goes back to the last episode about your plate and making sure you have your macronutrients and your micronutrients when it comes to your mental health and your creative journey. When parents, if you're listening, I have a few parents that listen to the podcast, so shout out to y'all. Y'all are amazing. You may already be at capacity and your child is like, hey, mom, what's for dinner? Or hey, mom, can I have this? Or hey, mom, why? And you snap. You have snapped, and your cat is like, what I do? I just asked the question. But because you had a bad meeting at work, or traffic was messed up, or you burnt the hot dogs, something happened, and you are at your emotional capacity and you snap. Don't take it out on the kids. Entrepreneurs, this might look like having a presentation. I can speak from experience. You had a great presentation, you prepped it, you did all this work building up to it, and then like the smallest thing happens, or like a figure is off, or the presentation glitches and you can't present. And you just like everything just goes downhill from there. Like the other day at work, I was working at a show, and uh, I apologize. I listen, my emotional container in that moment was pristine, okay? I was dealing with some technical difficulties. I was logged out of the system. I couldn't log back in. I ran to another theater, got the POS, came back to my theater, set it up, was able to sell, but then my point of sale chip reader wasn't connected. And whoo, this lady, she came out of nowhere. She was like, I want a mug. And I was just like, sure, that'll be da 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 da. I in my stress in everything I was dealing with leading up to this transaction, I forgot to offer her a bag. I forgot to say, "Oh, would you like to purchase a bag for this amount, or would you like to purchase a show specific bag for this amount?" I forgot. In my honest, stressful moment, I forgot. My emotional capacity container was on the brim. Okay, it was about to go over the edge. But I took a breath and she said, "You didn't offer me a bag." I said, "You want one? Which one would you like?" No. Because at most shows, they offer you a bag. I said, "You know what? You are right. And I forgot. I am sorry." And like, it's a long line of people behind them. And she was really trying. She was trying to push that button. And I said, "You know what, ma'am? Because you are a great customer and I really want you to enjoy the rest of your show, you can have the bag on me. You're not going to give me anything for free." I said, "It's up to you to take it. I'm offering it to you. I want you to enjoy the rest of this show." There was this black lady behind her. She said, yes. I was like, "Listen, I'm not doing it for attention. I just, listen, this has been a stressful shift." Great. So I was able to redirect my emotional container capacity and just bring it back down a little bit because I'm healed. All right. Because, oh, me, listen, ma'am. Okay. F you and mug. Okay. Okay, so in relationships, it's bringing up all that unprocessed stuff, all those unresolved conversations, because of one small thing. I've been going down the rabbit hole of, I think it's like couples court or couples therapy. Wow. Wow. The things people put up with in these relationships because of money or because they are lonely. I want to buy weighted blankets for everybody. Like I don't know if I'm desensitized to love or the aspect of dating, but if this is what's going on out here, now these people are married. Ain't no rings on these fingers. Okay, if there is a ring on this finger, I bought it at Aldo. Or it's a holistic ring that I'm trying to heal before I put another ring on it. Like, anyway, I'm sorry. There will be a lot of rants in this episode. But for my goal setters, maybe you get completely derailed by setbacks or disappointments. Again, your emotional container capacity is almost running over. But here's the big one. If you're dealing with high functioning depression, and this is something I want, my goal is to get her on the show. I saw a clip from She's So Well, or I can't think of the name. It was a podcast, and my best friend recommended the book High Functioning by Dr. Judith Joseph. And I read some of it and I wanted to like really like drop some seeds in this episode. So if you're dealing with high functioning depression or anxiety, your container might appear totally fine from the outside, but actually be at capacity on the inside. As someone who has high functioning anxiety, me, I am really good with putting stickers on my container. Okay, my container will look like it is tabbed, color coded. Everything is in numerical order. Okay, everything is dated, signed, and shit. Sorry, this container, my container. Nah, it got cords like wrapped up in a ball. It got some rubber bands here. It got some expired stuff there. It is a mess. But how do you know when your container needs attention? So, overflow signs are pretty obvious: consistent overwhelm, emotional numbing, reactive responses, physical symptoms your body's trying to tell you something. But too rigid is also a problem. Avoiding all difficult emotions, feeling disconnected, inability to access your feelings at all. Sometimes creative procrastination is actually your container saying, this feels too vulnerable right now. Because if I talk about this, I am likely to go off the rails. I am likely to just spew out everything or break down crying because I have reached the point of no return to where I just need to just get it out. And sometimes you need to do that, but not in public. Not in public, not with the project, okay? Time and place. Right size containers feel different. You can feel emotions without drowning in them. You can choose when to process, and you're maintaining your day to day functionality. For those high functioning patterns, you're maintaining external success while your internal container is actually struggling. Using perfectionism to manage your container or just pushing through instead of adjusting. Before we move on to section 2, let's do a quick check in. How does your container feel in this moment? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, great. Mine too. Moving on. Part 2, adjusting the container. Now, this is where we really get our hands in that container. We pull some stuff out and we say, I don't need you, I don't need you, I don't need you. Here's what I want you to understand about your container flexibility. Your container isn't meant to stay the same size forever. Your container isn't meant to hold everything for everyone else. You got it? Great. You have permission to adjust as needed. And this isn't weakness, this is wisdom. This is you discerning, you know what? I've been carrying this shit for too long. It has expired. It no longer serves who I am and where I am going. Whole you pyramid. You got it? It served you for a season, but this is not the reason to keep carrying it forward. Amen, church. Great. Container flexibility is actually strength, not failure. We're talking about working with your system instead of fighting against it. This is where that mind, body, spirit connection is all real, and you are able to really connect with those chakras. Your crown chakra and your root chakra are talking together and say, hey, we haven't been in alignment. But now we're going to remove some stuffs and remove some blockages and set the boundaries within your container so that you can make your load lighter. So, when and how do you actually adjust this thing called the container? Well, sometimes you need to expand your container. And you're probably like, Justin, why do I need a bigger container? Have you met you? Like, you're thinking small. Sometimes you got to think big, and your container has to expand with the growth you're doing. This is when you're ready for more capacity. You're feeling stable. You got some support systems in place. Your self-care is consistent. Signs you can handle more might be that you're feeling grounded. You've got people around you. You're building some skills. And if you are in a place where you don't know how to expand safely, gradually, with support, building the skills first instead of just throwing yourself out in the deep end. Okay? But sometimes you need to shrink your container. And I know I just said sometimes you're in a season where you're growing and outgrowing things. Sometimes you have been in that season too long and you've carried too much stuff unnecessarily. So we need to shrink it. We need to shrink it so we're making sure what's in your container is only for you. This is not U-Haul, okay? You are not your container. Your container is not a pantry for other people to put their shit in. This is your emotional container. Not your mom's, your brothers, your dad, your cousin, your sister, your coworker. This is your emotional container. During vulnerable periods like illness, major life changes, anniversaries, or those high stress moments we go through, that's one season you can shrink your container. If you're dealing with high functioning depression or anxiety, this is huge. Giving yourself permission to do less while still appearing functional to the outside world. But sometimes it's just temporary protection during healing phases. This is when you shrink it. The trick is learning how to communicate this to others without shame. So in this season, I can't carry all this. In this season, I need silence. I need a moment to just dump this container out and rest. I'm gonna pick it back up. I know what's in it. I'm gonna get back to it. So that's when you know it's time to shrink your container. But sometimes we need to reinforce that thing. You know, sometimes we put some super glue and some duct tape and just wrap it all up and just reinforce it until we have the time to expand again. This is about strengthening those walls during trigger seasons, building those foundational elements like sleep, nutrition, movement, connection, the basic things we tend to skip out on when we feel we are overwhelmed. Skill building stuff like breathing techniques, listening to adjusting affirmations, grounding exercises, expanding your emotional vocabulary. I should do I should post something about your emotional vocabulary and how to really communicate those things without coming across as someone condescending. Yeah, I'm gonna work on it. Thank you for that, universe. Getting your support systems in place, therapy, trusted friends, you got a friend in me, professional help when you need it, and if you can afford it. And if not, you can listen to Adjusting Podcast. Setting boundaries, saying no to additional stressors while you are healing. No is a complete sentence. And I say this a lot. I say no. And sometimes I will admit I don't say no to everything, sometimes out of fear, because especially in the workplace, you say no, okay, you're fired. It's just like, God damn, I said no because I got some other shit going on. You finna fire me? Now I gotta find a new job and say no. Anyway, how this looks in different parts of your life. So I always want to make sure I speak to different groups who may be listening to the podcast. So for my creative in your creative work, before you start emotionally heavy projects, during creative blocks, or when that procrastination is actually signaling that your container feels overwhelmed or avoiding something. Okay. For parenting, during your kids' difficult phases. So you got them terrible twos, you got that preteen phase, you got that 16 phase, and that graduate. Listen, I've been a child. I was a good child though, but I worked around kids in education, so I know those phases, parents. I am sorry. When your own triggers get activated by dealing with your own stuff while still being a parent. So this is how the container looks different in various aspects of our lives. Relationships during those conflicts and when your partner is struggling, and during relationship transitions when one person is an avoidant and one person is anxious, or one person is secure and one person is dependent. Like, it's just those transitions that we go through where your emotional container may need to expand, may need to shrink, may need to be reinforced. For businesses during high stress periods, we're coming into Juneteenth, we're coming into 4th of July, back to school. If you are someone like me that works in social media, we are already planning for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Okay, it's June, and we're already planning for these things because that's how our mind works. But also for businesses and entrepreneurs, after setbacks or failures, when you need time to process. For goal pursuers, when you're facing obstacles, criticisms, or major disappointments. And again, for my high functioning baddies out there, learning it's okay to actually adjust your container size even when you look fine to everyone else. And I think that's very bold of you to admit, I got too much shit going on and I need to step back. And I have done that. I have been trying to juggle the podcast, Type J Marketing, Earthy and Cultured, The Detailed Gentleman, reading more books. And I was just like, Justin, you can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. But nowhere in the Bible did it say you have to do all things at the same time. So I've got to the point, one week I'll do this, one week I'll do this, one day I'll do this, but I would never try to do all things in one day. Look at me growing. Now, part 4, applying the tools for your container. So we've talked about adjusting the container, addressing the container, but now we're going to apply some tools for your container. So let's get practical about your daily container management. Start the morning with a check in. I know women sometimes, or people who carry a bag. I have a man bag, okay? It's not a purse, but I have multiple bags that I carry because I am always gone from this place, okay? From my apartment. I'm recording in my apartment. If I go to work, I want to make sure I have my computer, my charger, my phone charger, chapstick, hand sanitizer, a mask sometimes because these mother people on these trains be coughing. I mean, they cough up a lung. Anyway, a book, a notebook because I have creative ideas, my jump drive, highlighters, ink pen, and an umbrella. That's just a regular day. But with your emotional container in the morning, how much capacity do I actually have today? Is today a busy day? Is today a parent teacher conference day? Is today a presentation day? Is today a date night or an anniversary or something like that? Throughout the day, try this. Pause and assess, how much space do I have in my container left to continue on to the end of the day? End of the day processing. What needs my attention right now? What can actually wait? Start thinking of your container as your decision making tool. Okay, so you can set categories within your container because I know a lot of you listening to this is a parent, but also married and an entrepreneur, and you're running a business and you're creating. So, like, we hit all those marks, and your container might be heavy as hell. Like, you have a day where you have to do a presentation, a parent teacher conference, all those things. Really assess how much of yourself can you give in within that container before it explodes. Now let's talk about the nibble and gorge. Okay, so I mentioned that in the intro. And I really love when my therapist explained this to me. So I really hope you can get something from this section. The traditional approach is deal with it all now or just get over it. Okay. That people say, how are you feeling? Or what's going on? Or what can I do to help you get over this? I wish there was a pill or a drink or something you could ingest that will fix everything. Fix your trauma, your past issues, your any mental health thing you're dealing with, stress, anxiety, others. I wish there was a thing like that. Sure, there's Xanax, but it's not like it's gonna treat it. It's not gonna heal it. But with this nibble and gorge thing, the container approach says healing happens in digestible portions. Nibbling means small, manageable pieces of processing. Think 5 to 10 minutes a day. This is your morning routine where you assess what's in the container. Gorging is those occasional deeper dives when your container is strong enough. Weekly or monthly sessions. This approach works better for sustainable healing because you're not overwhelming your system. So in layman's term, think about this. You are at Red Lobster and there are cheddar biscuits on your table. Now, I miss them things because they ain't got no vegan cheddar biscuits. Well, they do, but like I'll have to make them at home, but whatever. And if you eat too many of them cheddar biscuits in one sitting, you're gonna fall asleep. Your stomach is going to explode. But mm, if you nibble and take small bites of those cheddar biscuits, you get to not only enjoy more biscuits later, but you get to savor every moment of those biscuits. If you are someone who's into food, you can taste the flavor profile, you can taste the saltiness, you can taste the seasonings and the spices and the herbs and the texture of the bread. Like that is where you want to get to with your mental health journey. You want to be able to nibble on things and say, oh, this was a trigger. This was something trauma related from my inner child. This shit don't even belong to me. So why is it in my container? And then you gorge by saying, let's assess this. Whose stuff is this? And how did it get here? And why is it here? And what can I do to help them get rid of it? Because it's not mine. Nibbling gorge. You're welcome. Now, let's break down some nibbling strategies. So, quick emotional check-ins throughout the day. Just noticing where you are. You can journal. That always works. You can do some mindful breathings. If that's your thing, processing one small piece at a time instead of the whole thing. Creatives, allowing yourself to actually feel the vulnerability before creating more rather than just ignoring it completely. Allowing yourself to actually feel the vulnerability before creating rather than avoiding it completely. And I think that is something I really try to do before each episode. I nibble at the topics and the things I want to present, but then I gorge, like I go all in. Like I really want to share life applicable things so that you go, oh, okay, I get it now. I get it. And the gorging strategies, when you're ready, schedule therapy sessions when you can go deeper. Okay. So this is just like, I get what's going on. I'm tired of feeling this way. I need to see someone. I really need to do a deep dive and ensure that I am not the problem. And I want to know how I can move forward with this in my container so that I'm able to really get rid of it later. Weekend emotional processing time when you have space. Them Sundays, Sunday fun day, before brunch or after, whatever your schedule is. Really use that time as a day to reset. Jesus didn't do much on Sundays, but we've gotten to the point where we want to do everything on a Sunday. You want to do laundry, you want to grocery shop, you want to go to brunch, church, all those things, but find some time for you on the weekend. It can be Saturday morning. And I think this is where the beauty of cleaning your apartment on a Saturday with some old school music. I do gospel music or lo-fi jazz music, but that in itself, that's beautiful. Retreats or intensive healing experiences. I'm not saying you need to go like sit in the woods and get bit by mosquitoes to find healing. I ain't say that. You can go sit in a park you know? That's cute. I'm allergic to grass, so I can't go sit in the park. But those deep conversations with those trusted friends, I am grateful that my friends call me and say, "Hey, do you have time to talk about this?" I will always have time. If you present it like that, I will always have time. Will I have an answer? Probably not. But as long as you can get it out your system. Extended journaling or creative expression sessions when your container can handle it. So this is just a brain dump. You are getting everything out and then burn it or shred it or throw it away. Like don't let that stay here while you're gone. Yeah, get rid of that. And making this actually work in your real life. So, your seasonal containers, adjusting for busy periods, anniversaries, major life transitions, learning to communicate your container needs with the important people in your life. Having the container conversation. You don't have to say, this is a container conversation, but this is just like your emotional capacity conversation. How to actually tell others about your current capacity without feeling guilty. I think people will respect you more if you say, I got a lot going on right now. And it's not from a place of I don't want to do this. It's from a place of I can't give all my time to this right now. Setting boundaries based on your container size, not what you think you should be able to handle. And asking for support when your container is full instead of pushing through. Now, how does this apply to specific people? Well, creatives. Managing creative vulnerability, processing feedback and rejection, recognizing when procrastination is actually your container protecting you. Okay. So sometimes when you procrastinate, your nervous system is just like, I'm trying to get you to stall a little bit because I really need you to sit with this a little more before you say yes. Or I need you to like go back to the drawing board, go back to what the details were just to make sure you got it right. Because I've done that before. I designed a whole presentation off the wrong topic. Parents, modeling healthy emotional processing for your children instead of just pushing through. Okay. Like sit with your child and say, hey, let's have quiet time. Not for you, for me. I'm tired, but I need you to be quiet. So we're gonna do this together. Or just turn on some music and say, this is our chill time. Like make it a cute name so they'll always appreciate you for that. Couples, preventing emotional flooding in your relationships by managing your own containers first. Ooh, that'll save a lot of relationships, I promise you. Entrepreneurs, making better decisions by managing your emotional capacity instead of running on empty. Cancel those meetings or reschedule them. Just make some more time for you. My friend said something the other day. He said that, well, I didn't like how he said it, but he said it. But anyway, most people take a day off a week, Tuesdays, I think he said, as a day to just do a brain rot and allow your brain to just totally reset. You're not consuming anything on social media, you're not reading a book, you're just like in your garden or on the couch and just chilling to allow your brain to just completely reset. I appreciate that. I'm not there yet, but I appreciate that. For my goal setters, sustainable progress without emotional burnout. And for my high functional individuals, giving yourself permission to honor your eternal container needs, even when your external performance seems totally fine. Give yourself grace to be human. You're not Superman. You can hang the cape up. Rest, please. So here's what I want you to take away from today. Your container size isn't a judgment of your strength. It's just information. Healing doesn't have to happen all at once. And honestly, those small, consistent nibbles often create way more lasting change than trying to gorge on everything and overwhelming yourself. You have permission to adjust your approach as you grow and change. And that's not giving up. That's about being smart about your healing. So this week, I want you to just try one container check-in. Notice what you find without judging it. Just gather the information. Remember, you're not broken. You're just learning to work with your system instead of fighting against it. Thank you for being here today. Take some time to go through your container. And remember, you're definitely not alone in this process. Until next time, keep adjusting. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you take something away to help you make the adjustments you need. Before you go, please take a quick second to share this with someone you care about. And if you can, please leave a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform you're listening to this on. For more information about adjusting or to inquire about being a guest, head over to adjustingpod.com. Until next time.